Hi guys, today we're going to do this video about some transparent leaves. So they're really beautiful, they're pretty simple. So we will go through all the steps and I hope you enjoy. So the idea comes from this sketchbook, which I just did a flip through of, and so this was actually a page based on a color palette that reminds you of a city. So, and I just kind of paired the color palette with something that I wanted to paint as well, sort of thing. So it wasn't necessarily painting something from that city, but I painted. So I think I got cut off, but we're using a sketchbook. This is an Amalfi cotton paper sketchbook from the French southern France and the coast there. And so I have a video about that, and then I have a video about this palette, but I have actually changed the colours around. So I'm going to re-swatch that for you. So I am using today, I start with just putting some water on the colours so that they re-wet, and then I start with the Shell Harp light. So this is like, in this palette, this is my version of like the Daniel Smith French ochre. So this Shell Harp light is from Earth Mineral Arts. She's on Etsy, I think, and I think she has another website as well. So then I also use, and I kind of swatch the colours. I just show you the colour palette at the end, so I'll try and just talk you through as I'm using them. But you can see that we're kind of doing these S curves, or like a sideways, like a convex curve, you know, up and then down and then up again. So yeah, that's how we start them, and then we kind of go back in and we create these more complex areas, so that, or just from one part of the curve to the next, so that it looks like that it's curling, that the leaves are curling. So I started with this Escoto Reserva number 6, which is my favorite brush, but it wasn't that, for some reason the one that I got isn't quite pointy, which I actually don't mind because it makes me paint a little bit looser mostly. But I wanted to go grab another brush so that I could get these, like do some really fine detail here. But you can see, even like, because I'm painting through the phone, I'm struggling to get the pressure and the actual positioning right. But anyway, so for the stem there, I used the Daniel Smith Tiger's Eye, and then I also am I go back in and use like the Daniel Smith Interference Copper for a shimmer, and the Daniel Smith Duochrome Lapis Sunlight as well. So I'm thinking I'll actually go back and just put the colours that I use in the comments or in the description of the video. That's a little bit easier to do. So you can see here again, I'm getting this Shell Harp light, so I'm kind of using that as my base color here. And then again, we start with like this sideways S, and then I start with the first half of it, and I kind of you know, angle that back in towards the curve, and then I kind of look at the shape here and where I would want that leaf curling back out, and then I can add that in. So we'll do this a few more times, and you'll see that every time I do it slightly different. I can elongate the curve a little bit, I can shorten it, I can add an extra little curve there to create another curl coming back out. So yeah, you can just play around with that, and it's quite, it doesn't have to be precise, because leaves and nature isn't going to be precise. So pretty much any way you do it, it should come out really nicely. And so then you can see that for the beginning and the end of the leaf, I will go back in with a shimmer colour or a, so like before I did the art graph, and now I'm putting the duochrome lapis sunlight from Daniel Smith. So I generally like to reinforce that curve there with some sort of a shimmer colour or a shadow colour or something else that will just make that like really make that curve stand out and really make the leaf look like it's curling. So again, we're starting with the Daniel Smith Tiger's Eye, and we're starting with kind of this sideways S, and you can see here, so I do that and then I go back in, and last time I curled this part down towards the leaf, and now I've curled up sort of towards the top of the other curve. So any way that you kind of position that, you're going to change the curl and the shape and the movement of that leaf, and that's what will create a really beautiful composition. And then I'm going back in here with the some gold gouache, and we'll do a video about this soon, and I'm just adding that in there again for that extra sparkle. So you can see what we've done here so far. I'm just working down the one side because we're going to now overlap and create some transparent leaves, but we have to let that dry, so I'm just kind of having a little intermission here. Okay, so you can see here that while letting one part dry, I work on something else. So you might work on swatches, color swatches for the page that you've been working on, or something, or in another sketchbook or something else. So you've got to let those dry so that we can glaze over them now with the other leaves, and that is how we create the transparent effect. So now I'm starting in between those two leaves on the one side. I'm going to the other side and doing like an alternating leaf pattern, and I am creating the same sort of a curve, but I am taking it across the branch and across the other leaves. So if you haven't let it dry completely, it might disappear a little bit, but that's okay. Don't panic. You can go back in once it's dry again, and you can recreate the underneath leaf. You can redo that again. Okay, so you can see that I have, I'm redefining the section where the curve comes down, and this is where it's important whether you know if your colour is highly dispersant, like if it will really flood into the water or not. So the colour that I'm using there is not, it doesn't disperse very well in water, which is good. That's what I want. So it's going to stay where I put it on the page. And then I can just add that even while it's wet. I can still reinforce and add to that side there. And then I'm just going in with the other side, and I'm using the Daniel Smith Interference Copper and recreating that side of the curve there. So okay, so we are onto the last leaf now, and you can see I've mixed up a little bit of my palette dirt, if you've heard that phrase, which is going to be different to anyone else's. So Mine has the Potter's Pink and Pearl White mix in there. I'm using it and mixing it with the Tiger's Eye. And so you can see here that I didn't start this leaf exactly the same in that S kind of way, because now I'm thinking a little bit differently about how I want this to go in the composition, and I want it to actually cross both of those leaves there. So I took a little bit more time to at first just to kind of figure out where I wanted that curve, and now I'm just putting in the extra curl of the leaf. So I don't think I mentioned this brush that I'm using now. This is the Da Vinci Petite Gris Pour. This is one of my other favourite brushes, although the handle is a little bit, feels like a little bit flimsy, but I really love the brush. I've tried since a couple of other mop brushes, and they all drip water, so this is my favourite one for that. And yeah, it's the 000 as well, so it's quite small for a mop brush. But you can see here, so this did not take very long, but it's such a beautiful composition. And I also really enjoy adding the shimmer and adding textured paints. So you can see that the grey leaf is from Wallace and Seymour. It's the Citadella grey schist, I think. And I love bringing that texture into the painting. So, you know, with oil painting or acrylics, you already have kind of a build-up of texture there that you're playing with, and you know, the canvas as well. So I really love being able to bring that to watercolors. You have this transparent element, but you also have now starting to build this texture on the page, and I really love that. And then I love the shimmer and just being able to give viewers that unexpected burst of light. And I think that you know, that kind of feeling when you see the shimmer hit the light just right, that's kind of the feeling that you get when you are using watercolors. So I want to leave that in the paintings. But yeah, so that is our little video for today. I hope you enjoyed it and that you try it as well. Let me know if you try it. I think hopefully I explained it all right. You know, it is kind of a tricky concept, but if you just break it down to that kind of S shape and then practice just going in with a little bit at a time, hopefully you can see those petals unfold. And you can see this was my first try here, and it's even a little bit better today than it was then. So don't worry if the first time you get it you're not exactly sure what's happening there, because the first time I was just like, I don't really know. You know, I just wanted to kind of create that, and I had to figure out how to create that, which is totally fine. And yeah, you can use obviously any colours that you want. But all right, guys, have a lovely weekend. I will see you next week. Bye.